It's not even the Romans' fault.
Yeah. Nobody's fault. Not even the Romans. Yeah.
I kind of think they just had the camera rolling and they were just ad-libbing the actors there in the Monty Python skit. And it's just like, and John Cleese in the Cleese in the middle there going, "You want to do what?"
They should show that clip in every kindergarten out there, and all the way through grade school, and that's the only video they have to show about this whole topic. Just watch that.
Look, people are, in my view, people are free to live their lives however they want to live their lives.
And I meant to lead with that point. And let's be clear. I'm a libertarian. You should feel free to live your life however you see fit. But the dividing line is when you start encroaching on other people's rights to raise their family the way they want. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, there's all sorts of different areas of this subject that we could cover, and I had a lot of good ones. I had a couple of videos of this man trying to breastfeed his baby, and and he was sincerely trying to breastfeed the baby. He was a male, but he identifies as the baby's mother. He's trying to so things get really weird really fast on this topic. But the main point I wanted to cover here was Minnesota's law giving sanctuary to people who wanted to transition their youth, their kids. Because there are states right now passing laws against doing gender transformation surgeries on children. There are states that are doing that, and good for them. They're protecting the children. But there are states like Minnesota and California, who did it before us, say, listen, as long as your feet hit our soil, no other state can take you back. And there is a case in Texas, we were talking about this the other day, about a man who had twin sons with his wife, and they got divorced because his wife wanted to transition one of the boys into a girl because he had showed signs of femininity, and she said he really should be a girl. He said, I'm not going to let you do that to my son. So they got divorced. He managed to get custody of one of the boys, but the other boy she got custody of. And every time that son would visit him, he never presented as a girl. He acted like a regular boy. But when he's with his mother, apparently he presented signs of being a girl. So what does the woman do? She picks up and moves to California with that son. So that father now, there's no way for him to protect that one son who was taken to California. They can do all sorts of things to that boy without the father being able to do anything. To me, this is evil. It's disgusting. It's embarrassing to me as a Minnesotan that this would pass. And Minnesota is a very liberal state. But now we're veering into a whole different area here in our society where it's fascist, it's authoritarian. How dare you, once a law is passed, how dare you, if you argue with a person, you're automatically a bigot or a homophobe or a transphobe. But these are the words they come up with to shut down debate. And if you disagree in any way from these new social norms, you are ostracized. You are shouted down. Anyway, so this is an important topic because this is the way our society is veering toward these extreme, radical, weird moves. These movements, look, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, this wasn't an issue. This is being forced down our throats by a small number of activists who want to promote an agenda. Anyway, it riles me up. It makes me angry. And please, if you disagree with us or with me, please let us know in the comment section below. We'll respect your opinion. Rob, so what do you think?
Yeah, man, it's good to get your perspective on it. These are important societal issues. When I look at, I'm just going to draw it back to what we're doing all day long here on YouTube. When I look at my YouTube feed, what I see is the algorithm serves me up what I'm interested in. So I've watched a video about X. So YouTube algorithm says, Rob likes X. Let me show him something X plus 1. And it kind of shows me something on the periphery. It knows like hundreds of data points about me. It knows all the thousands of videos that I've watched, how long I've watched them for. And if you like that, you're probably going to watch this as well. And sometimes in YouTube, every couple of weeks, I see it, there's like a row on desktop, that is, I'm talking about. There's a row across and says, looking for something different than what you're normally looking for. Click, and you click there, and then I go, it's not really that much different. That's maybe 10% different, but it's very similar. So what they're doing is they're showing me the same stuff, but from different people. So, YouTube, the algorithm's trying to widen my aperture to help them serve me more. And the reason for that is because YouTube want me to have a great experience. Because if I have a great experience in YouTube and they show me things that I like all the time, I'm going to keep coming back. And the more I keep coming back, the more ad revenue I get. Now, if I just kind of cross over into my mobile phone, and when I look at my phone, I watch a video and I see a recommendation. And then if I look at the homepage, I see the shorts. And if I look at the shorts on there, all of the shorts are completely disconnected from the desktop. And the desktop or the laptop or the iPad version of what I see on my YouTube feed is usually the same. They correlate. But when I look at my YouTube shorts, it doesn't correlate to what I've been looking at. And what I see in YouTube shorts is the topic we're discussing. Everything to do with transgender, everything to do with division of the society, all of these leftist ideologies and agendas. And I really believe it's a systematic destruction of our society. It's a systematic destruction of the nuclear family and the destruction of Christian conservative values, which has been the foundation of Western society that's underpinned everything that we've done to get us to where we are today. And the left are systematically destroying that because they believe in a socialist society, religion doesn't play a part. The state is more important. In communist China, there is no religion. The Falun Gong group have been ousted from China. And I saw an ad the other day that's coming to Australia. Those dancers, I don't think it's Falun Gong, that's the religious group. There's another group of Chinese dancers, it's like 5,000 years of Chinese dance history. And they're running around waving these things and all these women doing these incredible tricks and stuff like that. I'm like, that actually looks really good. I reckon that'd be great to go and see. And then you look and you go, that's real Chinese culture right there. That's the real Chinese culture. That's it right there. So why would the Chinese Communist Party suppress that culture? Well, it's based around religion. And it's based around religion and it's based around family values. But in a socialist society, in a communist socialist society, family values and religion come second to the state. The state is more important. And that's what you're seeing in the United States. That's what I'm seeing in my YouTube feed on my phone and YouTube Shorts is the systematic destruction of society and the systematic destruction of the family values, the nuclear family and Christian values that have underpinned everything that's gone on. And all you have to do is look to the model of China to see actually where it ends up. That's where it ends up. And at no point in this experiment of human history has communism ever worked. No. Socialism doesn't work. Communism doesn't work. And every time it happens, millions of people die. And that's what's happening right now as well. They put people in concentration camps because they have a religion in China. And here in the Western societies that we live in, you now have a version, the way I describe it, I'll go out on a limb for you. And I'll say the unspoken truth and I'll pull back the curtain behind what's going on in my brain box. I've seen in human society, and I'm a student of history, and I've studied history a lot. We've had slavery throughout history a lot. Yeah, humans have enslaved each other a lot. And when you look at, I'm a student mostly of military history, and if you look at the way that Genghis Khan ran riot across Central Asia and that part of the world and how they conquered and what they did to conquer and how that all happened, is unbelievable. But if you go back a little bit further in history, you'll see that part of the human experience is human sacrifice. They sacrifice to the gods. And I believe that the people in this transgender movement are sacrificing their children. It's a version of human sacrifice. Even Natalie said it on Redacted there in the little clip that you played. They can come over here and have their balls cut off. That's a version of human sacrifice. You're sacrificing your child to the gods of liberalism and the gods of leftism and the gods of communism. And people don't realize that the doctors holding those scalpels are the people that were sacrificing them like they were on the Inca pyramids. The Inca pyramids that go up like this and they have the channels down the side of the actual stairs where they run up. They would sacrifice hundreds of people every couple of moons. They would sacrifice them and the blood would run down the bottom of those stairs. If you ever go to those places, they're the most chilling, awful. I see that stuff and I was like, ugh. I remember there was an exhibition that came to Sydney. It was about all ancient South American artifacts and archaeology and all of those things. And it was at the Museum of Sydney here. And I didn't really pay that much attention to what it was. And my daughter at the time, I think she was about 8 or 9 or something like that, at that curious primary school, elementary school age. She loved all of those sorts of things. She loved learning about history. And I thought, oh, we'll go and see that. But I didn't realize what it was. And honestly, I walked in there and I was in there for about 3 minutes and I walked right out because it was all about human sacrifice. And it was all about the artifacts of that. And she's kind of walking around with me and, Daddy, what's this? What's this? What's this? And I was like, yeah, this is not what I thought. This is not for little kids. And I remember walking out of there just going, oh, and just like, it's like one of the biggest parenting fails I've ever had, or probably the biggest parenting fail I've ever had. Luckily, she didn't realize what it was. And luckily, she didn't realize what it was all about. But 90% of that exhibition was about human sacrifice and what they did to each other. And that's what we're doing today. That's what they're doing to kids. And that's what I'm saying. You're going out on a limb saying that. That's
no, you're not going on a limb. It's the evidence is everywhere. The evidence is in our face. A lot of the clips that I had were out of Sweden. Now, Sweden has gone, boy, Sweden, guys, you got to break in my heart. They've gone off the charts woke with this whole business about gender, equality and identity. In their kindergarten, they're not allowed to have any kind of gender specific anything. Everything is gender neutral. Boys are not allowed to refer to themselves as boys. They're not allowed to play with boy toys. Same thing with the girls. Everything has to be. And in that segment, they talk to these parents who go out of their way to raise their children non-binary, where they don't identify as either sex. They go out of their way to squash any kind of, normal, impulses kids would have to be their gender. They go out of their way, and society is accepting this, and they're promoting this, and they're supporting this. And if so, it is child abuse, in my opinion. This is child abuse. If you let children be natural, they will naturally gravitate. Boys will want to play war at recess. Girls will want to play with their dolls. It's a stereotype, but it's a stereotype for a reason.
But it's not a stereotype. I never really noticed any of that stuff with my sons. And I never noticed that they played with cars or trucks or anything. I just didn't notice. But when my daughter came along, I was a bit older, right? And I realized like I'd had the experience with 2 boys. But when my daughter came along, she was, the way I describe it is she was defaulted to play with little baby toys. And she had little babies, and little girls love to run around playing babies. And I remember if you go onto eBay and all these secondhand places that you can buy stuff, Facebook Marketplace and all that, you can buy all the toys that parents don't want anymore. And they give them away for a couple of bucks, right? And I can remember buying these babies because she loved to play babies and put them in cots and change their nappies and do all these things. And I never taught her to do any of that stuff. And I don't know, maybe she saw that at daycare or whatever. But I remember saying, what could be more fun than having more babies? And I remember coming home with a bag full of babies once and line them up in the cots and playing with them. And she was just defaulted to play with all of these really girly things and to do I would have leftover toys from my sons as well, trucks and airplanes and all of those sorts of things. And she never really was interested in playing with any of that. Her defaulted status was to play with things that stereotypically girls would play with. And she was very social. She's a very social creature, not really interested in sport, but interested in playing games with other girls. And if you think that, somebody is not defaulted to be a certain way, you're wrong. You never really studied your child or looked at your child as effectively. And I'm guilty of that because I never noticed any of that in my boys. Now, I'm laughing when you're describing what's happening in Sweden and those reports you see. And the reason that I'm laughing is because these people are living in a fantasy. It's a fantasy world that they live in, and that's okay. You're entitled to live the way that you want to live.
No, it's not. It's not okay when you're programming your children. You're
correct, that's what I'm saying. Is it's okay for you to do that. It's okay for you to live in that world and to have that belief system and to feel that way about those things. But the minute you start overlaying that onto somebody else, that becomes a problem because that particularly when you're overlaying it on people where they don't have a choice. And that's what you're saying. The laws that they're passing there in Minnesota is being overlaid onto people that now don't have a choice.